Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to ETEnergyworld's Solar Energy Storage and Intercontinental Grids Watch Roundtable. India has an ambitious goal of achieving renewable energy capacity of 450 gigawatt by 2030. With such plans to use solar energy in rapidly increasing electricity demand, India will be fast moving to a system that will combine solar power and storage technologies for both open access and rooftop solar markets. Similarly, the intercontinental grid has the potential to provide a cross-country network connected through undersea power cables. This will facilitate exchange of power between countries by leveraging the time zone differences and demand requirements. This virtual event is an initiative aimed at bringing together all relevant stakeholders, from policymakers to industry experts, on a single virtual platform to address this very topic. It's worth mentioning that this conclave is a collaborative effort supported by an ecosystem of partners, and I would like to take this opportunity to extend our heartfelt thanks to presenting partner Sterlite Power in association with Carbon Copy, industry partner NSEFI, and an initiative by ETEnergyworld.com. And with that, to put everything into context, may I now invite Sudhir Pal Singh, editor, ET Energy World, for the welcome address. Over to you, Sudhir.
Thanks for that great introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, very good afternoon to all of you, and once again, a very warm welcome on our platform today. This is our special digital initiative, which is ET Energy World Virtual Roundtable on solar energy storage and intercontinental grids, an exclusive initiative of our team. The aim of this event is to basically thresh out an agenda for the India's energy sector with a special focus on three key topics that are relevant, that are very important, and that are also very deeply interconnected. Over the next few hours, we will witness some of the best minds in the energy industry discuss the key steps needed to ensure the growth in solar power, energy storage, and realize the vision of an intercontinental or an international grid. We will also later be joined by our chief guest, none other than Mr. Amitabh Kant, the CEO of Niti Aayog. But before that, over to you, Annie. Yeah.
Thank you, Sudhir, for a wonderful start. Now I would like to invite our chief guest of the day, Shri Amitabh Kant, CEO, Niti Aayog, to shed some light on the roadmap and the policies the government is working on. Over to you, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to participate in the ET Energy World's conference on solar energy storage and intercontinental grids. And I'm really happy that the subject is really about meeting balancing needs through global grid. Ladies and gentlemen, recently, while speaking at the International Solar Alliance, the Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi had emphasized the dream of one world, one sun, and one grid. And he said that we generate round-the-clock electricity from sun as it sets in one part of the earth but rises in other part. Sun never sets for entire earth. The government had invited proposals from recently for developing a long-term vision, implementation plan, roadmap, and institutional framework for implementing this vision. In September 2019, at Climate Action Summit at UN headquarters, the Prime Minister had earlier announced that India's non-fossil fuel target to be 450 gigawatts by 2030. He raised it from the 175 gigawatt to 450 gigawatt by 2030. India has achieved a tremendous growth momentum in the solar sector. Since 2014, the solar capacity has increased more than 8 times, reaching a record installed capacity of almost 35 gigawatt as of May 2020. As per our estimates, the installed capacity of solar power will reach 291 gigawatt by 2030, which will be 32% of solar share vis-a-vis current share of 9.4% in total installed capacity. Boosting the ambitious KUSUM scheme, which is the world's largest productive energy scheme, The government had proposed to extend the scheme to allow 20 lakh farmers to set up standalone solar pumps. Also, 15 lakh farmers will be helped to solarize their grid-connected agriculture pumps and to set up grid-connected solar power generation capacity on fallow and barren land. Despite the uncertainty caused by the COVID-19 lockdown, it has been reported that the auction was reportedly oversubscribed and saw a strong competition during the price bidding. Developers have taken an optimistic view of India's ability in the management of this crisis. The biggest concern with us is rooftop solar and the pace of the deployment, which is not encouraging so far. However, the scheme has been revised by MNRE, and in the second phase, DISCOMs have been made responsible. They will act as aggregator and come out with proposals. Slowly, this is being picked up by different states. Gujarat, Telangana, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh are the leaders in this respect. I also wanted to focus on solar plus storage technologies because affordable storage technologies are the key to bringing solar energy to scale, not only in India but to the world. India has taken stride to promote storages. SECI initiated efforts in this direction for developing RE projects with a short peak power supply, and he issued a tender for selection of IPPs for development of such projects. The tender was awarded to Greenco with 900 megawatt capacity plus storage, a tariff of Indian rupee 4.04 kilowatt hour, and Renew Power with 300 megawatt capacity plus storage at tariff of Indian rupee 3.92 kilowatt hour. These prices are path breaking. The identified technology for storage for Greenco is pumped storage, while that of Renew Power is battery storage. In these types of tenders, the renewable power installation can be further augmented with necessary energy storage systems as per the developer's requirements to meet the criteria of power supply during the peak hours. Also, the batteries will play a huge role in storing power for grid-based storages, as well as for productive uses through decentralized modes like mini grids, rooftop solar in both urban and rural settings. We have seen that battery prices, which were hovering about US $1,100 per kilowatt hour in 2010, have fallen down by 87% in real terms to $156 kilowatt hour in 2019. By 2023, the average prices will be close to $100 per kilowatt hour. This is as per different estimates and different forecasts. And I personally envisage that by 2024, prices will fall much below $100 per kilowatt hour. This shows that India has clearly demonstrated the world, led the world for promoting storage technologies and taking lead on it. As per IEA's latest estimates, by the end of 2018, about less than 1 billion people globally were without access to electricity. Although India has achieved universal electrification program, but many countries of Central Asia, Africa, South Asia, and Southeast Asia still lack access. Their governments are trying hard to provide access to electricity in their countries and set up different timelines in achieving them. Solar energy can be a great enabler to solve the access problem. But solar is a capital-intensive sector which requires almost 90% of upfront capital expenditure. Not all countries have the access to cheap capital, regional skills, and demand to install high-quality solar power plants. The International Solar Alliance has taken up the exercise with different financial institutions with an aim to help alliance nations in providing low-cost finance. It is also working to mobilize more than $1,000 billion of required investments by 2030 for massive deployment of solar energy, which will pave the way for future technologies. India has announced One Sun, One World, One Grid. In this regard, the proposals have been invited from MNRE for making a long-term roadmap. This includes identification of cross-border projects that can be initiated within 1 or 2 years, preferably with Middle East, Southeast, and African regions, considering that India is the grid fulcrum for these identified pilots. Grid balancing will be one of the main applications. MNRE, through this initiative, plans to build global consensus about sharing solar resources among more than 140 countries of West Asia, Africa, and Southeast Asia. It is important to note that this is a long-term ambitious project. The initial study will itself take some time to complete it. It envisages 3 phases. In the phase 1, Middle East, South Asia, and Southeast Asia would be interconnected. In the second phase, solar and other renewable energy resource-rich regions would be interconnected. For example, the North Sea is rich in wind and the Sahara is rich in solar. And in the third phase, we would vie for global interconnection of the power transmission grid to achieve the one sun, one world, one grid vision. But all these are at initial phases, but India is committed to drive this agenda. A lot of groundwork is needed at this stage, as this would involve harmonization of standards, specifications, scaling up of new technologies, and coordination under different time zones. The initiative will go beyond just balancing the grid. It has the potential to make projects bankable in different areas, promoting South-South cooperation. It will create global scales and hence reduce costs and provide larger benefits for innovation and investment. This would also result in economic benefits. It would help in poverty alleviation and support in mitigating several access issues. Further, the proposed integration would lead to reduced project costs, higher efficiencies, and increased asset utilization for all the participating utilities. At a time, the implementation of one sun, one world, one grid will not only strengthen bilateral, multilateral ties on one hand, but also solve the energy access through clean solar energy deployment. With the strong coordination, we can reduce storage requirement to the extent possible, as the surplus power can be transported to other countries where the sun is off and is not there at that moment. This needs strong coordination with other countries. To my mind, this is a path-breaking project and has a big vision. As you've seen, solar energy is the future. Grid management will be critical. And to my mind, this is really the future of the energy in the coming era of tomorrow. With these few words, ladies and gentlemen, I conclude and I wish all of you all the best. Thank you very much.